I've always believed the saying that everything happens for a reason. You probably heard it before. See, in fact, I've heard it since I was a very young child. Everything happens for a reason, or at least as far as I remember, I know that quote. But there was many times in my life where I wondered, what the hell is this reason? What is the reason behind this? What is the reason that this is meant to be happening, right? Now, as I grew up and as I developed, I heard an extension of that. It was, everything happens for a reason, good or bad, right? And so when I heard that, I understood it, but I didn't believe it, right? It didn't change my subconscious belief. It didn't change the way I felt about the statement and the way it played out in my life. But I did understand it. And if you would have asked me, I would have said, yeah, I understand that. It makes sense, right? Everything happens for a reason, good or bad, meaning, your actions have consequences. Everything you do that causes something has an effect, and vice versa, right? It wasn't until the past few years that I came into the understanding through my spiritual self, my spiritual presence, my spiritual work, that I came into an understanding that everything happens for a reason. And though you may really want to know what the heck that reason is and what is going on and why that had to happen and what the plan is, right? If you believe in God, it's like, oh, well, what's the plan here, God? What do you got in store for me, right? You may feel that way, but what I've realized is that we don't have to know. In fact, we don't need to know a lot of the time. But we like to know. We like to try and find out, right? We like to get aggravated and frustrated and so worried about what the reasons are, right? We actually do so much that we actually push away what it is that we're working for in certain situations, right? To bring this into retrospective of my life, I always wondered, why is this happening? Like, why is this situation in my life with stuff with my dad? My dad's a great man. He's had plenty of mistakes like all of us. When I was, 16, he got locked up, eventually went to prison for what he got locked up for, so on and so forth. And there's this light. When I first figured out that he got locked up, what he was doing to get locked up blew my mind. And I was already in this weird state in my life because I was getting into sports. I was very socially anxious, but sports was changing that to a degree. So I was having more friends, but I was also still anxious, and I was also very unfocused. And also wrestling was very hard on my mind. Like I wasn't ready for the hardness of the sport. I wasn't very competitive, but I enjoyed getting out there with my friends, and I enjoyed being less anxious. But I wanted to go out and smoke weed with my friends. I wanted to go do different things. I wanted to not be out there on the mats every weekend, 2 days a week, right? I had this push and pull where I enjoyed parts of it. I enjoyed the parts of the benefits, and I saw that it was the greater side of my life, meaning it was what I needed to pursue in that time. Yet, my lower self, my younger self, wanted to go party, go have friends, go do that kind of thing, right? Go chase girls, right? So that's the side that ended up winning. But anyways, in this whole time where I'm having this whole mental conundrum in my teenage years, my dad wasn't around emotionally during that time to begin with. Excuse me. And, that happened. And I just remember wondering, why? What is the reason behind this? It wasn't God yet then. I wasn't necessarily a believer. But I was like, what's the reason behind this? What did I do to deserve this? So on and so forth. But in retrospect, again, back in nowadays, I wasn't meant to know what the reason was. Because I could say in reflection, the reason was now, I can say, back then I couldn't. Back then I could say that, or now I can say that back then I wasn't meant to know because I was meant to go and do what I did, which was really screw off and make a mess of my life in that time, even worse than it already was. So I could then fall on my face time and time again to then hit my rock bottom at the age that I did, so I can then climb to where I'm at now. That's just 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago or so that I was in middle school, high school. So I'm only 23 actually, just turned 23 April 5th. So again, I wasn't meant to know at that time in my life why my dad got locked up, why he wasn't there emotionally. I wasn't meant to know. I wanted to find out. And my wondering actually screwed me up. My wondering, my misunderstanding is what I allowed, you see that, right? I allowed to turn over some ugly stones in my life and to go reckless, to go careless, to go in the opposite direction of what I should have been going, right? Within that same year, I quit wrestling, I quit football, I had a relationship going on at that time, quit that, started missing a ton of school. Within that same 6 months, I was sophomore year at that point, I had several run-ins with the police, had been stolen from, robbed several times, got on drugs. That's one of the biggest things. Got on drugs for some time. You know, you name it. I actually busted these teeth out, right? These 2 teeth were gone completely. I busted them out on a car windshield, rolled off, hit my head on the asphalt, probably went to sleep that night with a concussion. But you know what, that I said the rock bottoms earlier, that didn't knock a lick of sense into me, right? That whole hitting the head on the asphalt, nah. I still had to fall on my face after that, right? So my point in telling you all this is to help highlight that I wondered and I stressed myself about why this kind of stuff was happening in my life. And at that point, I didn't realize I was asking, why is this happening to me? There was a victim mindset I didn't realize, right? There was a victim mindset I did not realize. Now, if you would have asked me, am I a victim? No, hell no. Because I've always been against the idea of victim mindset. But in that time, I had one. I had a subconscious programming of victim based on what was going on. That's what developed, at least, right? In reflection, once again, now I'm victor. Now I realize the whole story is my own personal choices and my own personal development process. But again, back to my point, in that state where I was highly emotional, highly influenceable, I was 15, 16, 17 years old, I felt why? Why is this happening? God, why? Tell me. And again, I wasn't a believer at that point, so I didn't really go and ask. I just wondered, and I had this emotional turmoil. This emotional turmoil around why things the way they were. And it screwed with my head. I let it screw with my head. And that's when I fell down that ugly path. So guys, if there's anything you take from this, is that you don't have to know the reasons why something happens. You don't have to. We like to know. And don't get me wrong, it's great to track data, right? Try and figure out. But what I'm saying is, don't over-attach to why something happened, by which you then disrupt other things that are working the right way, right? Like, continue on the path. When something goes wrong, analyze it, but don't feel guilty. Analyze it and see what the facts of the situation were. Treat feedback, mistakes as feedback that you can learn from, not like, okay, I just failed overall, right? Because that's what happens a lot of times, right? We go after something greater than we ever had before, and then we fail the first 3 times, and we give up, and we feel guilty, and we feel like, why me? What is the reason for this? You have to trust. You have to, whether you're a believer of God or not, you can trust the universe. You have to understand that there is a universal faith supporting all of us if we truly trust in it. It is us that doesn't believe in that then doesn't believe. It's really just not believing in ourselves, right? Get into the niche here, right? We'll go on a different topic, different day. You don't have to know the reason, guys. You don't. You just have to keep working. You just have to keep working and reiterating and staying committed to the vision. Stay committed. You got this, guys. Have an amazing day.